Hello, welcome to day 38 of Diary of a Multifaceted Mama. I am Tony, Dr. Tony, Mama 4, psychotherapist, so on and so forth. If you've been following this vlog for any period of time, you've gotten some of that spiel about who I am and how I believe that we are all multifaceted, and as we're willing to embrace the various facets of ourselves, we actually become more whole, more cohesive, and we can navigate the world in a healthier way. I want to talk today about a conversation I was just having with a dear friend and colleague and mentor in my life around boxes, right? So I am someone, if you're following me, my guess is that you can probably relate, who has never really fit in boxes, or societally prescribed boxes in some obvious ways, right? I'm mixed, so I haven't been black enough. I'm not really white, right? I also grew up a tomboy, so didn't fit in those gender norm boxes. And my parents were pastors, and so I often had judgment that there was from others that there was like I was either like evil, Satan, or like I was a goody two shoes, and people had to act like heavenly angels around me. And I was neither of those things, right? Like I was somewhere in between. I've always been in the gray. I've always felt like there was not a box for me. And that hurt, like growing up, that hurt, because I felt like that meant I didn't belong, or I wasn't wanted, or I wasn't of value. But ultimately what I learned was that that experience of living my life in the gray, outside of the boxes and not really fitting into them, has been the biggest blessing of my life. Because it really has enabled me to bring forth different perspectives into this world. That during a time when we need unity so much, because there's been so much division. And so I feel blessed to be able to come and bring my perspectives personally and professionally, my knowledge and my wisdom to this time, this day and age that we are in, that we're existing in, and to also raise my children in a way that honors the gray. Now they're welcome to connect with any various societal box that's out there. And also I really model for them and talk with them about embracing be weird, right? Like my 5-year-old, you hear my 5-year-old say all the time, weird is good. Weird is cool. I like being weird, right? Like he celebrate it, right? So anyway, I was talking to this friend's mentor colleague person, and I was like, it is so refreshing talking to you, because I love that we can both relate that we don't like our businesses and our business structure. It doesn't fit in any box. Now, if you're like a small business owner or an entrepreneur or anything like that, you may have heard, the niching. You need to be very clear on your niche. You need to have a very specific avatar. You need to speak directly to that avatar. And while I do believe that there's a time and a place for that, because that does work for certain folks at certain levels, at certain stages, when you're someone with a big vision that's really deeply purpose driven with like a macro level type of influence that you want to have, that BS doesn't work. Sorry, it doesn't. And it was just refreshing to have those kind of conversations with other folks that have really big visions and really big missions that are embedded in their core, not just about a business or a work venture or a project, but really about their lifestyle and the way that they're moving through this world, and the way that they're living and leading and loving in all these different aspects, and bringing that passion and that purpose through in all of these different aspects of their life. Not everyone is maybe what someone would call like a visionary or a revolutionary, or like has that kind of flavor to their dreams, and that is 1000% okay, right? Like everyone has their own flavor to their missions, to their dreams, to their goals, to their sense of passion and purpose. And I think that's beautiful, right? Like we need the rainbow of colors. Like we need that variety. And I don't want you to let anyone tell you otherwise. Your dreams, your passion, your purpose, whether it makes sense to anyone else, whether it fits into a box, whether it follows the neat little cookie cutter pathway that someone else that's done something similar to you before, whether any of that stuff is true or not, it matters. And it is possible for you. your passion, your purpose, your vision, your dream. I can't tell you the timing because that's not something we get control over, but it is something that we can line up with, right? Like things tend to come to us in due time when we aren't fighting within ourselves so much. And so sometimes it just feels refreshing to have conversations with other folks that are like, heck yeah, do the dang thing. Like, who cares if no one else understands? Is it lighting you up? Now, I'm not talking about unhealthy pleasures like smoking and drinking, like, oh, this makes me feel good and forget about life. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about inspiration that fills you up. It's an intrinsic fuel that is, it comes only from these creative juices of love and of connection and just of source energy, right? It's not an unhealthy thing. It's as incredibly healthy and natural as we could get, right? That's what I'm talking about. And if you felt it, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't felt it, then maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. And that's okay. Like, you'll get there. Don't worry. But anyway, I wanted to hop on here and do like this vlog today and say that being multifaceted is something that we all are. The way in which we embrace it looks different for each of us. And as we embrace our multifaceted selves, we become more and more clear on our passions and our purpose and our dreams and our intrinsically fueled goals, not the goals that we are pushing ourselves to do because we need to prove something to someone or whatever the case is, but like our intrinsically fueled goals, like these accomplishments that like feel good to us because they feel good to us. It's not because we need to prove anything to anyone or please anyone. Living that way, connecting with that kind of energy, it just changes things. Like, even as a parent, when I do a vlog like this, or when I write an article or do a YouTube video that talks about this stuff, my energy automatically goes up. And so when I leave my office, now my energy is up, it's higher. So when I go to parent my children, to interact with them, to make dinner, to ask about their day at school, so on and so forth, they can feel my elevated energy levels. And that elevated energy, it allows me to be more focused with them. It allows me to be more clear when I interact with them. I'm not worried or in my head, right? But on the days when I'm not engaging with something that feels passion or purpose fueled, I can feel my energy levels are lower. And that has a ripple effect too, right? And so you can see why, whether you are in the role of parent or partner or professional, this matters. It matters to embrace the various facets of who you are, to love your full self in whatever way that looks for you, and allow that to help you moment by moment distinguish, discern, get distinctive about what really is purposeful to you in your life, like what's really meaningful to you. Like, if you had a mission, if you could label it, if you could put words to it or an image to it, if there was a movement or a mission or meaning that really connected with you and your life right here, right now, and that doesn't have to be forever because it could change, seasons change, but right here, right now, what would that be? And like really connect with that and get clear on that over time. It may or may not become clear to you quickly. It might happen gradually. Mine comes, sometimes I get quick bursts of clarity and sometimes they're more gradual. It's you know, it's never actually done. It's just always building off of itself. Do that. Be willing to practice doing that. And see how that ripple effects out. How the energy that you gain from just connecting with your own passions and your own purpose and your own pleasure intrinsically, how that changes things. How it changes how you feel, how it changes how you think, how it changes how you see things, how it changes how you show up. Like, it changes things. I've been talking more and more about various things that I've created that I just didn't talk as publicly about before, even though I knew that they were powerful because I shared them with clients, private clients and things like that. But I've been talking about them more and more publicly. And as I've been doing that, I've noticed that there are certain ones that I haven't been as clear with my kids about. There are other ones that I have spoken to my kids about, but there are certain ones, especially one of my main ones, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I have been as clear with expressing this like intentionally to my kids, because this is something that even they could benefit from. So I noticed a gap there, and I'm going to do that in a time that feels right. I'm not going to force it or anything, but in a time that feels right and in a way that feels right, I'm going to share that part of how I express my passion and my purpose in this world with them in a way that's developmentally appropriate. Because I think it's also important for us to connect with our loved ones, with our children, our partners, in a way that honors our passion, in a way that honors our purpose. Even if they don't fully understand, like, that's okay. It's in a way that honors it, right, for us. And I'm curious, like, if you were to do that, what would that look like for you? What would honoring your passion or your purpose look like for you in your relationships, whether it's with yourself or whether it's at work or whether it's with your partner or your kids, like I was just sharing. I love having these kinds of conversations, and I feel lit up when I get to have them, and I want to share it on this vlog because I think that, you know, we can learn from it. I don't have all the answers, but I'm open to them. It's good to ask yourself, am I open to receiving different answers, knowing I don't have them all? Yeah. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I'm glad that you joined me today.